Hi Tubies, here's your Alexandra. I get often questions about what kinds of tools and colors I use, what they should buy, and, well, I give you now a little rundown about the stuff that I'm using here and, well, to give you a little bit insight of what you should buy. First, let's start with the most common question: what kind of paints should I buy? Should I buy the Vallejo paints, or the GW paints, or Reaper paints, or should I buy cheap paints, or art paints, or whatever? So, I give you now a little rundown about the paints. First, let's start with the Vallejo paints. So, you have here three different variants in color ranges at Vallejo. First, you have the game color, then the model color, and the model air color. So, what's the difference? The difference between the model color and the game color here, there's almost no difference at all. It's just the kind of colors in the palette, and the game colors, they are supposed to be an equivalent color range to the GW range. So, while the model color has a little bit more spread out and wider variance in the colors, but overall you have with Vallejo very much wider color range than GW has. But and compared to the normal GW colors, the only difference is the size of the pot. So, for GW paints you have here 12 milliliter pots, and those here from Vallejo are 17 milliliters. So you get 5 more milliliters in these dropper bottles, while here this GW paint pots, you have here this lid pot. So, but which color is better? Well, there is no better color in this both ranges. They are equally in the terms of how good they are, how opaque they are, and how long-lasting they are. It's just a matter of they are a little bit cheaper because there's more stuff in here in the bottle. But other than that, there's no big difference. Most of the time, the stores around my place, for example, I can very easily get access to the Games Workshop colors, while the game colors or Vallejo colors in general I have to order online. So for me it is a lot easier to get hold of GW paints. That's why I paint mostly with them, but I don't prefer one of them. About Reaper paints, I cannot say anything about them, how they are compared to the GW or Vallejo paints. I simply don't own them, and I know nothing about them. So, other than that, we have also two different other kinds of acrylic paints here. For example, we have here the very expensive art paints, and then we have cheap paints you get in a dollar store. So, what's the difference there and compared to maybe GW paints or Vallejo paints? Well, the art paints, you have also a very wide range of colors, and they are supposed normally to be in this kind of tubes here, not in the paint pots. So, they are much more like a toothpaste in the consistency. See here? But other than that, the quality of those paints is absolutely excellent. So, also, you have on most art paints this little star system that indicates how light intense these colors are. Not light intense, how they react to light over time. So, does the color fade out when they are permanently in the sunlight or hit by a spotlight? So 5 stars means that is the highest and best pigments available in these colors. Also, the colors have here this little square. If it is filled in black, that means this is an opaque color. That means, well, like the GW or Vallejo paints, it covers very well over almost anything. while when this square is empty, so just a black border, then this means this is a transparent color. So, well, it doesn't matter how thick you're layering it onto a surface, you always see the surface underneath it. So there you have a little bit wider ranges to play with. But overall, I can say these art colors are absolutely perfect colors. But they are much more expensive than the GW and the Vallejo paints. And while these tubes are for wargamers not that handy in use. So on the other spectrum, we have this kind of colors. Those are very very cheap colors, like here these von Reves. Those you get 75 milliliters, and this whole thing costs maybe $1. It's almost nothing, but they are not the best paints out there. They have not such a good light ability like here, for example, those, or even the GW paints, and well, they have the tendency to be on miniatures very, how can I say, the color split off on the miniature. They are not supposed to be painted on miniatures. They are painted on walls or something like that, and or mixed into other paints to tone them down and all that kind of stuff. I use those kind of paints mainly if I want to paint terrain. For example, if I want to paint a whole hill or something like that. Or you may remember my entry to the Armies on Parade. There I have made a little 24 by 24 inch white board, and I painted this here with that paint. So for that, for undercoating and that kind of stuff, those paints are absolutely perfect. But for miniature painting, I would not recommend them at all. So I guess that's about the first half of the rundown about the paints. Well, like I said, there is no difference between the GW, the normal GW paints, and the Vallejo paints at all. But there are some paints by GW nowadays, the foundation paints, and those colors I can highly recommend. They are absolutely perfect for painters now, and I love them. I have quite some of them, Mordian Blue, for example, Caltham Brown for my brown tones. Then I have here Ian Dark Sun for my yellow tones. Then, of course, Macrite Red for reds. And so those are very important colors to me nowadays. And, well, what's the difference between those and the normal paints? Although, well, they are very more opaque than any other color. They are very cool colors because, well, there is a higher amount of pigments in there, and also they are cut with some grays. So sometimes you see when you open the pot that they are a little bit split up. Let's see if I can find one. Oh yeah, there. Here you can see how it deviates a little bit the color. Well, these colors are cut with gray. That's why they always have this not so bright look to them, but that gives them the option to be very opaque and very good coverage. And for undercoating miniatures and such stuff, they are absolutely perfect. So then, last thing, the washes. Also, Vallejo has some washes in their ranges. Let me see if I can find a bottle of them. No, right now not. But that doesn't matter. Well, even Vallejo has some also in those dropper bottles. And washes are kind of essentials to the wargamer nowadays. And, well, GW has a very wide range about the washes, and also Vallejo. That's well, a taste thing what paints and what washes you want. It determines only by color then in the end. So let's go to other tools. The second most frequently asked question is what kind of stuff I use here to stick my miniatures on. This is called Putty or sticky tack or auf Deutsch Klebepads. Here are two examples for that. Putterfix, for example, a well-known brand, and here is some cheap variant of that. They are also called as poster tags, or here you can see some things. You have posters and photos and stuff like that you can put on the wall. They are in that kind of stripes here, little cutouts, and they are like, yeah, a putty, like gum in the consistency, and well, they are quite useful for your painting for your paintings, because you have a nice handle. What I use here as a holder is just an old paint pot. Quite handy. That's the only thing why I use them. Also, sometimes I use a cork like this here, for example, or other stuff, or even bigger surfaces where I can put bigger miniatures on, like for example here some wooden blocks or so. I can hold bigger miniatures in my hand. So, yeah, next up we have the brushes. Third most frequently asked question, what kind of brushes do I use? Well, let me show you something. This is my brush box. Quite a lot of them. But I don't use every single brush every time. I have some brushes for several occasions, and you have also seen them in some of my tutorials here. Those here, for example, and this one here. You see, I don't have only one brush for everything. Well, if there would be one brush for everything, that would be this here. This is the most used brush from me, the base coat brush from Citadel. I know most of you think Citadel brushes are kind of bad and they split up, but, well, let me tell you something. When you have your brush and they are splitting away one or two hairs, like for example this little fella here, then simply cut them away. And when you have cut the little traitors, I call them cut away, then most of the time the brush itself is absolutely perfect. There are also normally just 2 or 3 little outriders here that don't want to fit in, and then this brush is perfect for usage for almost every circumstances. Because, well, this brush can hold a good amount of paint, and you can paint and paint and paint and paint and paint and paint and paint, while with a very tiny little brush, like for example this one here, when you compare the brush size, it's quite thinner and shorter in range. That means when you paint with this brush, there's not so many color on the brush, and it dries, and you paint and paint and paint, then put up the paint, you have to readjust, then paint and paint and paint, and put up the paint, readjust. So, you know what I mean? So, other paint brushes I use are, for example, this one here. This is an Echt Rotmarder, also a good quality brush. This is a brush from an art store, and you see here the price on it, $2.25. This is a mid-size range brush. Also, the size of the base coat brush here, like this here, you can compare them. They are almost the same. But, well, this brush here is also an all kind of use brush, exactly like this one here, also almost the same size. You can see that you can have the same size of brush, but from different brands, and they are doing all the same purpose for me. For example, this here has a little different handling here, and I can use this brush here for better detail work than with these brushes. While with these brushes here, I have much easier paint flow with this. So there, the use is determined by the handle. So then, of course, I have some kind of dry brushes here. This here's a Citadel dry brush. Here has a very determined brush tip. Well, this brush is also good for other things like applying washes and all kind of stuff. Then I have this one here. This is a very old dry base coat brush from me. That's mostly the end of my brushes, but well, as you can see by the color, this brush is very old and it is still in use. So I use this brush mainly for base coating miniatures, like big surfaces and stuff like that. And I well, I treat this brush very, very bad, but well, he can survive this in this stage since several years. So, and then I have a big base coat, a big dry brush like this here, soft tip, flat, and this is also very cheap brush. You can see here for 45 cents. So, this is a little rundown about my paint brushes. And then also I have some other tools like tweezers, for example. Here I have a very fine tweezer. This was kind of a bit of expensive, this tweezer, but it is sometimes very useful to have such a fine tip. For example, if I want to place leaves on the bases or something like that. Very useful. Then I have a big all-purpose tweezer for all kind of stuff, basing materials, put on and press on, and holding miniatures while while priming. And well, this here is also very old, but it is still in use. Then of course I have here a little nail cutter. I use mainly for cutting curves. Well, where would I cut curves? Well, I cut curves on transfer sheets. That's why I have this kind of little thing here. Then, of course, I have the good old handy-dandy cutting knife. This is an all-purpose knife, and well, if it is not sharp anymore, I break the blade and break the blade. And well, for breaking the blade, be safety and use this kind of stuff here. This is a clipper. I use also for clipping out my miniatures out of the sprues and something like that. So, and last but not least, I have here my little hand drill. This is a old GW hand drill. You can determine by the metal tip here at the end. The now is plastic, rubber one, but overall this is quite useful for pin-vising something. Also a pin-wise, not a drill. So, and what else do we have here? Ah, pellets. You can see me sometimes use this here. These are some top parts of tobacco bottles I have here, tobacco boxes. Also, I've shown you several times the pellets from butter boxes or other kind of stuff, or this kind of stuff here. You can mix on everything that is a plastic surface and is solid. For example, this here I use mainly for my pigments. So, what else do we have here? Well, obviously some gloves when I try to prime something. Then, yeah, here we have some PVA, not PVA, some super glue. Yeah, a big bottle of PVA glue. I have also filled it into the paint pot for easier access. So then, for dropping purposes of water and colors and all that stuff, I have a pipette here. And what else? I have a stopwatch here for the old painting tutorial time where only 10 minutes were allowed. I needed those. Yeah, what else do I have here? Some glue I have here around. Uhu, alles Kleber for... I showed you for how to make icicles, for example. Yeah, what else? Some alcohol here in also a dropper bottle for mixing with my airbrush. Oh yeah, apropos airbrush. Also very frequently asked what kind of airbrush do I use here. This is mine, the Paintix 200, and the other one is my, when I can find it, stand up, come up here, there we have it. It's a Badger 150, quite dirty, it needs a cleanup again, but well, those are my two airbrushes. Well, and I think that's it for now. I think I have... Oh, yeah, very important, this here. My good old hairdryer. Very, very useful. Old time subscribers from here might notice this sound. For fast drying miniatures. Very useful. Then, yeah, I guess that's it for today. What I have here on tools on my desk, maybe this one here. This is here a fine liner 0.1 for painting on purity seals. I have two different versions. Here I have a different one. This here, the starter pigment liner 0.05, even finer in the tip. So stuff like that is also here in use. Yeah, that's it for now, and we see us in the next video. You're Alexandra.